do companies adapt to exposure to physical impact of climate change, such as sea level rise, extreme heat, and wildfire? If yes, how? From American utilities to Australian builders, and from Asian manufacturers to European winemakers, companies face increasing exposure to the physical effects of climate change. Extreme weather events, such as wildfire and floods, damage properties and disrupt operations. More gradual changes, such as water and heat stress, threaten to restrict access to needed resources and cause productivity losses. Facing increasing physical exposures to climate change, it is critical for firms to adapt and address its consequences. Extant management literature on climate change has primarily focused on firms' mitigation strategies that decreases firms' impact on the environment. Climate change adaptation strategies that firms pursue to address the impact of the changing environment are less well understood. This study examines whether and how firms adapt to physical climate risks. I collect and use climate science data based on geospatial, historical, and projection models to measure firms' physical climate risks. To measure firms' adaptation strategies, I hand-code the climate disclosure text that publicly traded companies reported with CDP. The empirical results show that the average rate of adaptation across all firms and different types of climate risks is only 23%. Firms are sensitive to the nature and level of climate risks, adapting more often and more completely to those most salient to their businesses. Turning to the mechanism, I find that higher levels of climate exposures increase firms' perceived impact of climate change, thereby increasing firms' adaptation efforts. Furthermore, the positive relationship between firms' forecasted climate exposure and their adaptation is stronger for firms with greater ESG capabilities and longer time horizons. The study has both policy and managerial implications. Understanding whether and how firms adapt to climate risks can help regulators and investors decide whether interventions on adaptation are needed, and if so, what the scope of those policies should be. Although adaptation is affected by the level of climate exposures, it is also influenced by many other factors such as firms' ESG capabilities and its time horizon. Thus, interventions that improve firms' adaptive capabilities and increase their time horizons can be considered. The comprehensive measures of different adaptation strategies discussed in the study can also be informative for managers seeking to identify best practices or to compare their own risk management policies with those of their peers and competitors.